It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey guys, what is going on? Lee Sanders back with you guys for this Monday night edition of the RCWR show for March 2nd, 2025. What is going on, y'all? Hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. I know we had WWE Elimination Chamber. Shout out to you guys that had represented. You checked out the post show I did. Maybe you checked it out live, or you checked it out once it became available for on demand and downloads for that listening pleasure. However you represent it, wherever you represent it, appreciate you as always. So now that we've got the chamber in the books, we can now officially just focus on WrestleMania and WrestleMania weekend and all the good things that is going to be coming out of it. I know what personally had made my day earlier today was hearing about one of my all-time favorite tag teams as a kid growing up, and that is Axe Smash of Demolition. They are going to be going into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2026, so they'll be joining Stephanie McMahon and AJ Styles. Undertaker had the liberty of talking with Axe Smash via Zoom or however they did it to basically break the news and everything. And I just marked out like a mofo, seriously, because I have so many fond memories of Demolition. I'll talk a little bit more about those guys, but going into tonight's Monday Night Raw, it's interesting because we all can be in agreement, especially those of you that maybe you didn't check out Elimination Chamber when it initially was live. Maybe you did so before the weekend was out, or even going into Monday, you decided, let me go ahead and see what all I might have missed and everything. Universally, we all just said, it is what it was. It was an average pay-per-view. It couldn't, not really anything you really should have expected. Not really too much shakers, movers going on from that pay-per-view event. It was what it was, right? But we got that now in the books. And like I told you guys from the Elimination Chamber post show, I was more excited to see what was going to be happening with tonight's Raw from Indianapolis. That seemed like it had more sizzle. That seemed as though it had more meat on the bone than Elimination Chamber. I mean, it was a so-so episode tonight. Yeah, we were kind of going through the motions. At least I felt I was going through the motions for tonight's episode. I tried to focus on this episode as best as I could, but I found myself being so distracted by other things, be it on my phone or tablet or you name it. It was really hard for me to sit down and really focus on this episode. But I will say, when it counted the most, they saved the good stuff for last, did they not? CM Punk, Roman Reigns, they made us wait the 2.5 hours for that one, did they not? I mean, they made sure they milked that bad boy for what it was worth. That was what they pretty much dangled over our heads. That incentive for sticking around the entire show, which honestly did not disappoint, but like just putting that to the side, the overall show tonight was just, yeah, you could tell me all you want that we're now on the road to WrestleMania, but it still doesn't quite feel WrestleMania ish. It still doesn't feel like that special aura that WrestleMania has, that it's always had for years upon years, that special kind of magic to it and everything. Now, some of you guys may say, well, Lee, look, we are 50 something days away. We're like 6+ weeks away from WrestleMania. You got to give it a little bit more time to really heat up, man. Just give it a little bit more time. I'll try. For those of you that's saying that, I'll continue to try, but just I should already be feeling it, and I'm not feeling it now. If you were to come at me and say, "Well, as it stands right now, is there at least of the WrestleMania matches that we already know that is officially in black and white that I'm excited about?" I'm definitely excited for CM Punk and Roman Reigns. That should be a damn good matchup in itself and everything. Of course, we open things up with Paul Heyman and the Vision's Logan Paul, Austin Theory. Paul Heyman coming out there wanting to talk about Seth freaking Rollins. Crowd started singing along. Heyman is like, you know what? Truth be told, I hate that freaking song just as much as I hate Seth Rollins. Rollins wants to steal credit for co-founding the Vision, and he wanna, get co-credit for co-founding the Shield. He basically didn't do any of those things, and basically, far as Paul Heyman is concerned, Rollins stole a moment at last year's WrestleMania, and then here he is with Elimination Chamber weekend stealing another moment that should have rightfully gone to the Vision. So Heyman pretty salty with everything that was going on and everything. Theory gets on the microphone and he says one way or another, uh, hey, look, when it's all said and done, he goes way back with Rollins, but that Rollins isn't going forward. Fans think Austin Theory sucks and all that. Logan calls Rollins a scumbag and accuses him of stealing the victory. So we had all this nice little back and forth that was going on here. Don't get me wrong, it was a nice little opener and everything. But then we see these magsed individuals yet again. We're kind of thinking, oh, Seth Rollins, like, who are these guys? Why are they willing to sacrifice themselves for Seth Rollins? That's what I want to know. Is he kind of embracing, just to a certain degree, the whole Monday Night Messiah persona from long ago? That's what I'm a little bit curious about. Anyway, Max Man briefly appears ringside. He gets chased off. Then we had two more that appear. Heyman ends up being in the ring by himself, where another Max individual shows up. This go round, turns out that Max individual is Seth Rollins. Takes a steel chair to the back of Paul Heyman, follows it up with a curb stomp, rolls out. Love it. Come back from a commercial break. Paul Heyman is busted open, being put onto a ambulance. When we see Austin Theory and Logan Paul, they're yelling at the medics. Then we see Theory, who goes to open the car door. Jimmy Uso just comes from out of nowhere attacking his ass. And from there, we see LA Knight is in the driver's seat of the ambulance. I guess Paul Heyman is about to get a one-way ticket to hell on that note. Some interesting things that pretty much had set up later in the night. If I'm not mistaken, it was a match between Jimmy Uso and Austin Theory. Matter of fact, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's talk about that while we're dealing with that. That match pretty much ended in a disqualification. You being technical, Jimmy Uso had picked up the win and everything. Pretty much Jimmy had cleared the announce table, put Theory on it. Jimmy goes up to the top, but then Logan Paul comes running out, and Jimmy dives onto him. Theory, Logan, both duking it out. That's pretty much how the DQ went about. But wait a minute, Jey Uso, Sour Patch Face Jey Uso, as I like to call him, he showed up. Man, how about what happened last week? We briefly touched upon it last week, but Jey Uso looked so disgusted and beside himself when he came out as the winner last Monday of that Elimination Chamber joint after the events that happened with Bronson Reed. I mean, he what should have been, yeah, Oos. I got that momentum back, Oos. This is what it's all about. Yo, told you I was gonna be getting right back to the top. Yeah, here we are, man. We the ones. Yeah. I mean, he looked like he got the worst piece of fucking news in his entire life. I mean, I just it's funny when I think about that. But anyway, Jey Uso, he's back. He's out there with crutches. Turns out he's playing possum. Takes one of the crutches and basically beats the living crap out of Logan Theory. Usos do the 1D. I think they did the 1D on Austin Theory, but they pretty much had balanced things out, all said and done. So, kind of following up on what we had talked about from the Elimination Chamber post show, especially when one of you guys had popped up like several minutes after we talked about this. I toyed around with the idea with the way things are looking right now. We're likely going to be seeing Logan Paul, Austin Theory at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins, but then it kind of becomes all right. Seth Rollins and potentially who? Like, I don't know about a Logan Paul, because one of you guys had said, what about a Logan Paul Seth Rollins one-on-one match? They could go in that direction, but I kind of get the inkling that's not exactly where they're going to go. It feels more like we're going to see some type of a tag match. So then it becomes okay, well, if it's going to be Logan and what's his face, Austin Theory, and then you got to think about what's going on when they're with Bronson Reed. You see some of the reports that's floating around about Bronson Reed could be back in time for WrestleMania. And if that is the case, then you can't help but wonder, okay, well, if Bronson is going to show up in time for the match, then obviously that match would become a not a triple threat, but a six-man tag match, right? So then you would be under the impression Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Bronson Reed against Seth Rollins. And who are the other cats going to be? Is it going to be maybe the Usos putting their differences to the side, no matter how they may feel about Seth Rollins, and teaming up with him to, I mean, that could possibly be one direction, or you could run back LA Knight with the Usos teaming up, but somehow you just feel that no, it makes more sense to have Seth Rollins. You got to put Seth Rollins in there. So maybe it's actually Seth Rollins, LA Knight, maybe one of the Usos, or do you just get a third guy in there altogether, or does it somehow end up being a 8-man tag match and you just open it up that way? There's so many variables that could be going down. I'm sure that WWE is entertaining, and they're probably going back and forth on it when it's all said and done. Honestly, I'd like to see it be, look, whatever is going to bring, and this is going to sound like a cliche answer, but I'm all about whatever is going to get fans excited, whatever is going to have them go, yo, that match kicked ass. However, they got to shape it up. Whatever opportunities presents itself, whatever talents that you would be able to utilize WrestleMania weekend, do it. Look, as long as it makes sense. That's all. And it's entertaining. That's all I ultimately care about when it's all said and done. But WWE, they definitely have some options. I mean, hell, if you maybe want to kind of try to slide Danhausen in there somehow, you could even do that. I mean, look, we all talked about Danhausen, and I want to make sure I go on record when it comes to Danhausen because, I reacted to how he was received in Chicago over the weekend. But the one thing I definitely want to say in regards to Danhausen, he is definitely entertaining. As a character, I'm fascinated by him. I love that whole quirky, campy, silly kind of shit. All right, that's definitely up my alley and everything because I'm the same type of guy. I will sit down, I will watch a vintage episode of The Munsters or Car 54, Where Are You? Or Green Acres, or, the Dick Van Dyke Show. I still watch Me TV and Svengoolie whenever he's doing, a black and white horror movie double feature joint, or he happens to show a little marathon of the Three Stooges. So for me, Danhausen, that's definitely in my wheelhouse, right? And he's pretty much been doing this character for such a long time. And look, we all can be in agreement. The debut, Chicago Elimination Chamber. I mean, presentation wise, it was great. It was great. I don't think it was a case where people were expecting Chris Jericho. I don't think that. I think honestly, people were expecting for some type of a big name. They felt it was something of great importance, right? Something that was maybe gonna like, wow, the road to WrestleMania. Yo, shit just got really, really popping here. This is great. This is great for the road to WrestleMania. That's what they were expecting, right? And there's nothing wrong with having that kind of a high expectation, right? It would be no different than your significant other says, "Hey, I've got some fantastic news for you." "Oh yeah, yeah, when you hear this news, let me tell you, you are going to be doing backflips, you're going to be doing cartwheels. It's the greatest piece of news you ever heard in your life." And you're going, "Well, damn, I'm looking forward to this. You can't give me a little preview right now of what I can expect?" "No, no, no. You're just going to have to wait for it. Yeah, wait till I come home because I got to see the look on your face." I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And so you fast forward, the anticipation builds. You're wondering what it is. And finally, you see your significant other and you're like, "So what's the news? What's the news? What's the news?" And the news is basically KFC brought back the Twisters. And you're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, you remember the Twisters? Remember it was chicken, grilled chicken, crusted chicken, wrapped up, tomatoes, cheese, little wrap. Yeah, 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 I remember. Remember have the ranch? Yeah, yeah. Well, now they're offering it with bacon. Like, okay, yeah, but that's the news? Yeah. Oh, okay. I hate to make that comparison in regards to what we got with Danhausen, but that was pretty much the case. The presentation was good. Don't get me wrong. The way they debuted him, it was good. It was just wrong place, wrong time. But he's entertaining as hell. I've been checking him out for a couple of years now. I cannot and I will not sit here and say to you guys, "Oh yeah, I was checking out a little bit of his stuff on the independents way before." No, no, I was not checking out any of his stuff way before AEW even came into the mix. The funny thing is, whenever I would check out some PWI joints, and this is before AEW picked him up, I kind of remember glancing and just, "Oh, that guy looks kind of interesting," but like nothing ever really stuck, right? So I didn't really truly, "Hey, who is this guy? What is he all about?" until AEW. Then I piggyback went and was looking up stuff of his online and everything. And look, he is in, or should I say, he is partnered with the right people to succeed and take succeed however you want to take it. If you want to look at that word succeed and you go, well, if Danhausen succeeds in pushing a shit ton of merchandise, right? And you just can't help, if you've been watching him, you just can't help but go, good for him. You see that there's so many people, a lot of his peers, are like, fuck yeah, they're happy for him. They're excited for him and everything. So you just can't help but hope that he does well and everything. So I want to make sure that I really had stressed that because there was a lack of that type of talk about Danhausen on the Elimination Chamber post show, and I really wanted to make sure that we and that's not me taking a step back. That ain't me backpedaling. You know how I operate by now. I like to look at everything from multiple angles, right? And me and the whole psychology, sociology perspective. That's just kind of how I've been operating for so many years now. Danhausen, we did get to see him talk to Adam Pearce very briefly. He had some demands. He wanted to. I love how he called Adam Pearce Stone Cold Steve Austin. But he tells Adam Pearce he wants his face all on the trucks, how he wants to have the Triple H pointing picture sign. And Triple H already did it, by the way. It is floating around on social media. He just had all these little funny, quirky demands. And Adam Pearce is like, look, I got some other business that I need to attend to, but hey, won't you talk to the Judgment Day? Judgment Day, Danhausen, Judgment Day. So Danhausen was left chatting it up there with JD McDonough, Finn Balor, and Dominik Mysterio. Danhausen takes a look at Dom's two championships, the Intercontinental Championship and that Triple A championship that Dom has, and it's like, oh, pretty. Can I have one of them? Dom's like, no, get your hands off of it, and if you know what's good for you, like, you'll stay the hell away from me and my belts. Matter of fact, that's about as close as you're gonna come to even getting a championship. Danhausen decides to put a curse on Dominik Mysterio, and if you know about Danhausen, when he puts a curse on you, that's it. Like, shit is gonna go sideways for you. And remember, tonight was the night that Penta faced off against Dominik Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. Fun little matchup there. Dominik Mysterio going into this match wanted to know if Finn Balor and JD and look at once again just the seeds that's been planted so far, right? Look at how Dom has been operating with Finn Balor these past several weeks, couple of months now, but it was really, really, and I hope people didn't miss this. It was really evident tonight when Finn Balor, leading up to this Penta Mysterio matchup, when we saw the backstage skit with Judgment Day and JD was having some words there with Finn. Hey, how you feeling, man, after that match against CM Punk and everything? Balor's like, hey, yo, all said and done, I can hold my head up high. I feel good. I feel like I'm in a much better place now. Like I'm really good. Main thing is I went out there and I did it on my own. And look at how Dominik Mysterio just went, yeah, so now that that little pursuit is over, it was kind of like, yeah, whatever, motherfucker. Anyway, now we talking about me. Uh, and Finn Balor was like, no, we already talked about this. Like, no, I'm not going to be out there. And Dom's like, no, I'm talking about you guys being out there. And then you try to back up. No, I just want you guys to be out there, right? Celebrate with me when I win. Like, that's what he's really trying to say. Sure, whatever, Dom. But then, sure enough, as we saw in the final moments of Dominik Mysterio's match there with Penta, uh, we saw Dom propped in between the ropes, says to JD, yo, go get the ring hammer. Go get that little ring hammer. Because he's getting ready to do something foul with that joint. JD grabs it. Finn's like, no, what are you doing? We just said we were going to be out here just to be out here, give support. No, we're not interfering. And JD's like, nah, come on, man. Nah, come on. We gotta. And Finn is like, no, this is not how this is going to be going down. No, let him win this on his own. Penta takes advantage of the exchange between Balor and JD, dives between the ropes, pretty much knocks the both of those guys out. Shortly after that, action heads back into the ring where Dom manages to avoid a Mexican destroyer, but he couldn't connect with the 619. Penta tries for the Mexican destroyer again, connects, and boom, in Indianapolis, first time in Penta's WWE tenure thus far, captures his first championship as he is your new Intercontinental Champion. So congratulations there to Penta. Well deserved. I mean, ever since this guy debuted in WWE last year, he has really, truly been an overnight sensation. And I definitely, in regards to the work of Penta, I go way back checking out his work, and it just as a fan, it's nice to see how overwhelmingly loved and just accepted by particularly the WWE community, how quickly he's been embraced and all that. I love it. And nothing but good things are going to continue to happen for Penta. And I will say this truly, I'm really, really excited for him because this is going to be his first WrestleMania as a champion, walking in as a champion. Like that's badass, like on so many levels, right? Obviously, you're doing a lot of things right to go essentially like less than a year later after you debuted, and now you're going into the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania, and not just walking in there. I mean, you're walking in there as a champion. I mean, that's pretty damn good. How sweet it is. Like, seriously, man. I would imagine maybe, just maybe, Dominik Mysterio and Penta are going to run it back. If that's kind of what WWE is thinking, I'm totally down with that. I'm totally down with that. If they're going to run it back, I'm totally down with that. We'll see how that pans out. From one Intercontinental Champion to another Intercontinental Champion, AJ Lee was in the house. AJ Lee coming up on Kari Sane being being I don't know what you want to call it, man. Besmirched, belittled, bemoaned, bewildered, uh just whew. Oscar, man, and the tongue lashing every single time. Poor Oscar. No, I'm sorry, correction. Poor Kari Sane. I feel sorry for that girl every single time. Yeah, it's kind of reminding me of some of the old manga comic books I used to read and animated shows that I would watch where you would get the obnoxious character that would always you know, and you're like, you guys that know your material, you know what I'm talking about. It's like one of these days, I've been waiting so patiently for Kari to just go, you know what, man? I'm so tired of your shit. I can't takes no more. I'm just waiting for her to have that. Because it seems like she be having those, doesn't it? Out of body experiences where she's just ready to kirk the fuck out on Oscar. I keep waiting for it. And maybe they're saving it for WrestleMania. I don't know. But that definitely would be a WrestleMania moment where Kari has finally just reached her breaking point and she just unleashes like Ralphie in A Christmas Story on the bully, the neighborhood bully. Like, it's coming and everything. But anyway, AJ keeping it short and brief tonight. No Becky Lynch. No Becky Lynch. You would imagine, though, that Becky Lynch is somehow maybe going to get into the mix of things. We'll have to wait and see. I have a feeling that maybe Becky Lynch is going to crash the party in some form next week. We'll see. Because AJ Lee put out a challenge basically saying, look, now that I've got Becky Lynch behind me, we can now go on ahead and focus on WrestleMania, where, hey, any girl in the back, if you want some, yo, I'm a defending champion. Pretty much pulling the same card as her husband, Mr. CM Punk. Want some, come get some. So we would see later on in the night, Bailey, and shout out to Bailey, Bailey's last all women's wrestling weekend camp couple of months back. We talked about it here on the show. It went so good that Bailey made the announcement a few days ago that she's going to be doing another one. So for you aspiring female wrestlers out there, make sure you get in contact with Bailey on her social media feeds and all that. Normally, I wouldn't even mention something like that, but the fact that Bailey, with the last one that she did, last seminar, and then with this seminar that she's doing, she's willing to cover your expenses for getting out there to her. So, if you have been wrestling, whether it be for a year or a couple of years, like, you definitely owe it to yourself to try to get in contact with Bailey and see what can happen. I think it's really, really, and I wish more of my colleagues in the podcasting world would get in on this shit, especially. And this isn't me bad mouthing my friends and colleagues in the podcasting world. It's just a friendly observation. But I wish the more of them would mention this type of stuff that Bailey and there's a couple of others that do this, but Bailey is the main one right now that's really giving back and paying it forward. And I am so about paying it forward, always forward. I'm always about that. And just the fact that, like, she's willing to cover travel expenses, whether it's airfare, whatever. Like, now don't quote me, but I think she's even willing to take care of hotel arrangements as well. But again, like, you need to get in contact with Bailey and find all that out. But I know, like, she's covering like all expenses in certain areas and all that. It's just so empowering. It's so uplifting, and and who better to learn about the business from, and where you are in your journey, and get essentially some key essential tools, right? Some essential tools to, okay, hey, this, work on this, do more of that, all that, really, really good stuff. But Bailey and Lyra Valkyria, they were in a backstage segment, and Bailey's feeling kind of bummed out because it looks like going into WrestleMania, not going to be on the card. Lyra's like, well, you heard AJ's challenge. We should try to see about having you get a challenge for that women's IC championship. Like, come on, we can't let this WrestleMania go by for you. And Bailey's like, you really feel that way? And Lyra's like, yeah. So let's go talk with Adam Pearce. Bailey's like, well, I do remember I had cost you that championship a long time ago and everything, and I'd feel really good if you got a shot at the championship. And Bailey suggests that they both go talk to Pierce so they can both plead their cases and see what's up. So as they get ready to go talk to Adam Pierce, they see Io Sky come from out of the locker room. And Io kind of has this look on her face like, snooze, you lose almost. Feel sorry for y'all. They go and they still go and talk to Adam Pearce. So we learn later on in the night that for next week's WWE Raw, despite what we had saw there in those final few seconds, next week there's going to be a women's Intercontinental Championship match, number one contenders gauntlet match. It's going to be Lyra Valkyria, Bailey, Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez, Asuka, and Ivy Now. All of them are going to be dancing there. Winner of that will go out and they will face AJ at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. Looking forward to that match. That should actually be a pretty damn good one. I'm looking at that match. I'm really hoping that Raquel, if Bailey's, if Becky Lynch isn't going to somehow be involved in all of this, like, which is cool, I'm looking at fucking Raquel Rodriguez, and I'm hoping that she'll be the one to come out of that. And that would be a really damn good, fun match, wouldn't it? Raquel and AJ. Oh, yeah. Give me that one. That would definitely be a really good one. So we had that panned out. Also on tonight's show, Rusev coming out there. He can takes no more. He wants him a piece of Obafemi. He heard that Obafemi was in the arena. Come on out, get an ass whooping. Obafemi comes out. Two of these guys, they brawl. We find out for next week's Raw, those two guys are going to be officially going at it one-on-one. So we got that panning out. Some other in-ring action from tonight's Raw. Original El Grande Americano picked up a win over Rayo Americano. Honorable little mention there. Meanwhile, Grande Americano 2, he's now switched up his colors. He's now wearing black and gold. He looks like one wicked ass villain. I gotta say, I'm really loving his new look. I still feel the mask versus mask. That's like essentially where we're gonna be going there. Speaking of mask, Dragon Lee taking on Gunther. Probably, I would say one of my favorite matches of the night. I love the fact too that remember each week Gunther minding his own business, and then bam, out of nowhere, Dragon Lee jumping his ass. Here we are yet again. Gunther comes out first, and Gunther can't even get down halfway to the ramp when all of a sudden Dragon Lee just pounces on his ass. Loved it. Some of the most funniest shit yet. But those two guys duking it out. Gunther, no surprise, picking up the win. But I love the way that this was essentially set up over the course of the past several weeks and everything between these two guys. Solid matchup, fun match, definitely fun match. Uh, Gunther destroyed the hell out of my dude, though. Dragon Lee. I mean, he was dishing out power bombs for days, man. I mean, for days. I would have dialed back on the power bombs, right? Like I get that you're trying to show how tough Dragon Lee can be and all that other good stuff, but I wish what would have just happened instead after Dragon Lee kicks out of the first power bomb, Gunther then should just be applying the sleeper hold. And then Dragon should just be trying any and everything with his size and his speed and all that, be trying to do any and everything to somehow counter the sleeper hold. But like Gunther, every chance that he gets, he keeps and that really should have been the true with the commentators hyping it up like, yo, if he gets that sleeper on, like, you just gotta believe that's gonna be fucking it, right? Let the real story be, and I think they did it right the way that the match was laid out. You know, you're showing the toughness, the grit that Dragon Lee has and everything. But once you get past two power bombs by Gunther, then it's like, okay, let's make sure Gunther doesn't do any more power bombs, and instead he just relies on something else and everything like that. But yeah, from there was a Liv Morgan prepackaged video where she has a couple of nice parting shots for Stephanie Vicare. Hey, how you holding up from what went down last week? Liv is like, yo, you want to talk about your struggles, you want to talk about how you feel I'm privileged, and Liv's like, yeah, you're right. I am privileged. I came into the WWE, whatever age she said, 20, 21, 22, 23, trained with the best, and talked about how Stephanie Vicare pretty much was training in some slums, right? Pretty much bringing it all right back, but does admit that she sees a little bit of herself in Vicare. Says that Vicare is a great champion, so is going to give Liv Morgan great privilege stepping in the ring, and Stephanie will learn everything she needs to know about Liv Morgan, greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time, Liv Morgan. So we had that. Other than that, man, I think that pretty much was everything from Raw tonight. except for the confrontation, the verbal confrontation between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Nice exchange between the two. I love how CM Punk brought up the fact that, yo, how fitting it is that we're going to be squaring off at WrestleMania and everything. Here you are, Roman Reigns. You're chasing me, and I brought you in. I brought you in along with your other two friends, and Roman was quick to point out to say, you didn't pick me. And it's one of those things that, like, if you don't know your wrestling history, right, and you just hear something enough, you think it to be true. But Roman was actually telling the truth there, because originally it was supposed to be Cassius Ono, Chris Hero. He was supposed to be in the role of Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, they were the same. But it was that original trio that was supposed to go under CM Punk and everything. And CM Punk was like, yo, this is the direction we need to go. Like, bring these three guys, have these three guys and everything. And they were like, higher ups, whoever it was, they were like, okay, well, Dean Ambrose, okay, yeah. Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, yeah, whatever name he was pushing back then. Yeah, sure. We want to go with this other guy though for the Cassius Ono role. We want to go with this role instead. And so Roman was right when he says to Punk, "Well, no, you didn't pick me." So that was a nice little nugget of a Easter egg, as far as, hey, see how well you're paying attention. If you know your shit and all that, some good stuff. I love the line that CM Punk had said about the bags under his eyes, because he said something. I'm looking at my notes here. He said, where is that shit? Because Roman was mean mugging his ass and everything. And Punk says he doesn't hold grudges against people saying things about him, but he's tired. Which explains the bags under his eyes, because he's got to carry Roman Reigns bullshit for the next like 7 weeks going into WrestleMania. Love that. And what got Punk talking about the history between him and Roman, hey, they're there in Indianapolis. Indianapolis, that's pretty much where the Shield debut and all that. That's where the dance officially began. So all that was pretty good. Punk talked about how the last time they were together, Roman said he hated him. Punk's got him right where he wants him, calls him an emotional lady, and says it's translucent. He can pretty much see right through Roman. And that if Punk didn't have that title, Roman wouldn't care for him. Yeah, it was nice. So Punk did pretty good. It was a much stronger exchange between these two than the last go round, as far as Roman going, I pick you because I hate you, right? But Roman had a really good comeback for Punk this go round, which was, you think that you're back in WWE and, to be champion. And it was a nice little spin that Roman put on all of this and everything, because Roman tells Punk, look, the real reason you were brought back into the WWE is so you can hit those ages 30 to 40 demos of losers that still live at home with their mama. Mama's basement. There's that joke, the mama's basement and all that. Print that sweet money, right? And then the occasional one-off whenever we hit Chicago and we need a really good, strong gate. Like, Roman's going, that's what you're really being brought back here for. As far as you being champion, world champion, no. Too much responsibility for you, dog. Yeah, no. You just all said and done. You can't be trusted. You just can't be trusted with that. Like, and everybody knows that despite you going on social media talking about how great everything is and doing all the interviews, hey, I hear what's really going on when the cameras are away. You're still the same old Phil. All right, you're still a bullshitter. And then Punk comes right back. He's like, "Who's this we?" He's like, "I don't see anybody behind you." He's like, "You're all alone now. You're in your hotels by yourself. You're on your tour bus by yourself. Like, you ain't got your brothers around you anymore. Your family. You ain't even got your wise man. Let's not forget, I took your wise man away from you. So you all alone. I don't know what you talking about as far as this we stuff. Um, like, don't see any of that. So that was really good how Punk, tried to counter back with that and everything. Roman, though, man, the shit that really stung, and I was like, ooh, that's juicy right there. Roman says when he wins the championship back, he's gonna do the CM Punk like John Cena. Have CM Punk do one of those little shitty John Cena tours, and then they'll send his ass to NXT. Well, he'll teach the next generation what to do. Then they'll come on up to the main roster where Roman will smash their ass. Roman tries to leave the ring. Punk grabs his arm, dead in the tracks. And that's when he went into that who is that whole, we stuff and all that. And then he says Roman is the main event of WrestleMania because of him, CM Punk. And Punk's hanging out with Roman's cousins while Roman's all alone. Punk says he won't, of all the things that's been going on as of late between these two, the one thing that he's not going to let Roman continue to do is disrespect him. And Roman's talking about retiring Punk. Well, now that just really ups the ante even more because as far as Punk is concerned, he's going to try to do his best to bury Roman. As Punk says, he'll bury Roman next to his father, next to Roman's father. Punk rolls out the ring. Roman just looks on like speechless, just stumbling. Like, what the fuck did this do? Roman kind of looked like is this guy saying he's going to kill me? Like, that's kind of, I guess that was maybe what he was trying to go for. It kind of seemed a little bit too overly animated for my personal taste, but nice, good, strong ending when it was all said and done. For this week's Raw, made some solid in-ring action here and there. Your WrestleMania story arcs, definitely pushing more of the advancement. The Reigns Punk segment this go round, some people may feel a little bit different about this, but I thought it was definitely better than when we had Roman and Punk the last go round. Roman's like, I hate you. This is why I'm picking you. And then if I remember correctly, there was another encounter that they had shortly after that. That one was just, because I remember Punk was juggling Balor and Roman, and that really wasn't anything to really sink your teeth into. So I thought this was a nice redeemer from the past two times we saw Roman and Punk in the ring together and everything. SmackDown is definitely where it's going to be this coming Friday because remember, we got Drew McIntyre defending that WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes. You can't help but wonder, is Drew going to somehow settle for a DQ or a count out, retain the championship that way? Or if by the time we get to SmackDown, Nick Aldis is going to be thinking way ahead and he's going to make sure that that's not an option for Drew McIntyre. And then in the event that Drew McIntyre maybe does lose that championship on the road to WrestleMania, what does that exactly mean for Nick Aldis? Because you would just be under the impression that, like, you can't help but say to yourself, are we possibly going in a Drew McIntyre, Nick Aldis match situation? Like, where are we going with this exactly? Because talk about playing with fire. I think we might end up doing a SmackDown post show this Friday. I'll have to I'm toying around with the idea. I want to kind of get a better sense of where I'm going to be with my class load as the week progresses. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that one. I even love the nod there that we had of a little bit of AAA. I mean, I know the AAA promotions been picking up a little bit of steam thanks to great work of Undertaker, Corey Graves, JBL, and crew. So I even like that little crumb of little nugget that we got, particularly when it came to uh, El Grande original Grande Americano and Americano 2, Rhea Reyes. Yeah, I love that little nod that we had got from all that as well. So that was pretty good. So that was a nice little average show for what it was worth. In, out, time kind of went by quick, but then it kind of dragged in some areas. Decent show, all said and done. Hey, before we go any further into tonight's show, I definitely want to send a shout out to one of my favorite actors. He's having some health issues. And when I read this, I couldn't help but go, damn, well, this just absolutely sucks. Shout out to Evil Dead's Bruce Campbell. You might also remember his work from Burn Notice as well. He revealed that he is dealing with cancer. And I'll read to you guys the post that he put out. He put this post out earlier today. He said, "Hi, folks. These days, when someone is having a health issue, it's referred to as an opportunity. So let's go with that. I'm having one of those. It's also called a type of cancer that's treatable, not curable. I apologize if that's a shock. It was to me too. The good news is I'm not gonna go into any more detail. I'm posting this because professionally, a few things will have to change. Appearances and cons and work in general need to take a backseat to treatment. My plan is to get as well as I possibly can over the summer so that I can tour with my new movie, Ernie and Emma, this fall. There are several cons this year, summer, that I have to cancel. Big regrets on my part. Treatment, needs, and professional obligations don't always go hand in hand. That's about it. I'm not trying to enlist sympathy or advice. I just want to get ahead of this information in case false information gets out, which it will. Fear not, I am a tough old son of a bitch and I have great support, so I expect to be around a while. As always, you're the greatest fans in the world, and I hope to see you soon. Much love, Bruce Campbell." I read this news earlier today, and I was bummed when I heard this because I mean Bruce Campbell, he's represented so much of my childhood. I remember watching this guy. Jesus, Zenith, no, Xena, Warrior Princess. I remember him as far back as that. And then there was a country show that he did back in the day. It only lasted one season. It was on Fox, and he played a time traveling cowboy, if I'm not mistaken. Briscoe County Jr. I think maybe that was the name of the show. And he was like finding these weird gold orbs and this whole shit. It was really, it was a cool show, I thought. I thought maybe it was a little bit too sci-fi-ish, maybe a little bit too ahead of its time. But I thought the show was really good. But I mean, this guy has been responsible for a lot of my fondest memories, child, definitely in my teens, and so to hear that he is going through some form of cancer that he is saying is treatable but not curable, um, makes me I just want this guy to kick cancer's ass, like seriously. So if you're with me, if you haven't done so already, definitely send a Hail Mary and a prayer for Bruce Campbell. I'm sure he's probably looking at all the posts that's been coming his way on social media as well. So maybe you can even send him some love that way as well. Yeah, I saw that. I was really bummed out about that. Just totally sucked. So speedy recovery. Best wishes to him. Also, a little bit of a lighter note. I see some of this stuff that's been going on between Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill. I don't know if you guys are aware of some of this back and forth that's been going on with these two, but it's just it's making people wonder if some of the stuff that's being put out there on social media, if it's a work or if it's a case where no legit shit has spilled. And it's just interesting to see how all of this has developed because originally things had started. Let's kind of get you guys caught up to speed if you're kind of hearing this for the first time. So WWE champion Jay Cargill, she engaged in a verbal war words with Rhea Ripley following Ripley's win at the Elimination Chamber, setting up their WrestleMania 42 match. So back and forth began after Ripley said on Twitter, "All you seem to do is talk," and that's literally it. Cargill responded, "Talk like the hours you spend talking to creative?" Ripley fired back, "You're funny, not you're funny. That's funny. Now we know you really do be talking out of your ass because everything you say is bullshit. Don't spread lies on my name, you dumb bee." And then this situation, it expanded itself even more when Chelsea Green retweeted a post highlighting that Ripley would be competing in her seventh straight WrestleMania title match by writing, "Rhea is proof that you can be kind, respectful, and the most talented wrestler in the world." Now, anybody that's been paying attention to Chelsea Green's social media, normally she is in character and, she's spitting out, nice hot garbage. She's even showing Ethan Page some love, all that stuff. So normally she continues to just be in character. Very seldom will you hear her say something that just goes, "Oh, this kind of sounds a little bit out of character," and that's definitely the case right here. So you're reading what Chelsea Green put out there, and you're going, "Oh shit, what's going on here?" Cargill shot back at Green, saying, "It's no point to even go and embarrass you on this app. You always have something to say about everything." Piper Nevin then stepped in to defend Green and criticize Cargill with the post, "Who the fuck even said anything about you? Contrary to your belief, the world doesn't actually revolve around you. No point to even embarrass you on this app. Give you enough ring time and you'll do it yourself." Ooh, fucking burn. Rhea then posted the following message on her Instagram story. It was just a black background, white words. That's it. "Not having fun, not friends. Learn to work and never lie to defame someone's real human character by breaking the fourth wall." So that's kind of currently where things stand right now with the whole Rhea Ripley, Jay Cargill situation. Look, whether or not this is a work or this is a case where the lines are beginning to blur, uh, and it's all about selling what's going to be happening with these two girls at WrestleMania. I mean, we know Rhea Ripley is going to be heading over to SmackDown this Friday, having a segment there with Jay Cargill. That'll be very interesting to see where that goes and everything. I mean, look, WWE knew what they were getting themselves into when they were taking on Jay Cargill as far as where she is at, in ring wise. They knew what they were going to be taking on, and it definitely has been a very slow work in progress with Cargill, without a doubt about that. We know Tiffany Stratton, she recently came back and there was a lockup there with Jay Cargill, and that didn't exactly go right. And Tiff has pretty much been not doing anything with Cargill since then, and pretty much rightfully so and everything. I would like to believe that, in all honesty, WWE is not blind. They look at Jade Cargill, they love her look, the overall presentation, and there's money to be made. But it's one of those deals where you go, yeah, there's money to be made, but, at what cost? At what cost? I told you guys during the Elimination Chamber post show, and I've been kind of saying it off and on, that whatever direction, as far as who was going to come out being the challenger to face Jay Cargill at WrestleMania, that 9 times out of 10, Jay Cargill's title reign is going to end at WrestleMania. And that's not me being a dick. That's just, and I wish under different circumstances, it would be a case where it was Bianca Belair taking the championship off of Jade. But, instead it's going to be Rhea. I still feel Raquel Rodriguez, going back to what I said on the Elimination Chamber post show, I still feel it should have been Raquel Rodriguez getting the opportunity, her going into WrestleMania 42. And what better? Wow. How about that? Wouldn't that be something? Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, they both are going into WrestleMania weekend. They both have respected championship matches. Who's going to come out? Is it going to be a clean sweep, or is only one of them going to be able to get the job done? And add that into the dynamics of continuing to try to coexist as a team in the Judgment Day. Can they continue to coexist? Like, I mean, I would have preferred we go in that direction, but WWE knew what they were getting themselves into. And if they weren't aware of some of the, this is the first time for me that I'm hearing about some of this bullshit about. I won't say it's all bullshit, but usually where there's smoke, there's fire. But it's interesting that I've never heard anything before negatively about Jade Cargill, and she's kind of rubbing some people the wrong way. It's been interesting. Like, I know even Sean Ross Sapp had commented about it, and he's kind of hearing that Jade Cargill is rubbing people the wrong way and everything. But man, like, is it really to the extent of what we're seeing that is playing out online and everything? It really, really makes you wonder. It really, really does. And I tell you what, if it turns out this shit is real, even more the reason why you need to get this championship off of Jade Cargill, and you need to get her off TV, because she's clearly demonstrating a case where, okay, you're giving somebody too much too soon that truly has not earned it. And most importantly, where respect is due, they're not displaying that respect, right? So it's interesting when you really stop and think about it, because I want you guys to consider this. For all the stuff that we might have heard about Nia Jax, and she's sloppy, she's injuring people, she's this, she's that. I was one of the few here on the show that was saying, hey, in regards to Jay Cargill, where I'm really concerned about, I'm sorry, Nia Jax, forgive me. Where I'm really concerned about Nia Jax is the amount of weight that she's put on. If she can just dial back on some of that weight, that would definitely help her out, maneuvering wise, it would definitely help her out. Yeah, and I was very confident. I said, you promised you wouldn't see as many botches. And sure enough, to Nia Jax's credit, she's done a phenomenal job week in, week out, month in, month out, shedding the weight off and all of that. But like, you never heard anything beyond the Nia Jax kind of messed up again in the ring there. What the hell? You never heard anything to the extent of she was rubbing people the wrong way. So kind of interesting when you kind of compare those two and everything. Hey, let's talk a little bit about this WWE Hall of Fame that is shaping up. Tickets apparently are going to be going on sale for the Hall of Fame very, very soon. But right now, we've got the announcement of Demolition that is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I had mentioned this at the top of the show. This made my fucking day when I saw this, and it's great to see that Undertaker is essentially the man that's doing the honors and letting people know, hey, you're going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I know some people want to try to figure out if Undertaker is the one that's calling the shots here as far as who's going into the Hall of Fame, if he is the guy that's in charge of it. Like, look, if it turns out it is Taker, that pretty much at his discretion, or maybe he's chatting with Shawn Michaels and Triple H about, yo, this is the list that I'm thinking. What do you guys think? And they're like, yeah, go ahead, go for it, dude. Like, that's all you. And Taker's like, okay, well, this is who I think should go in. He's off to a damn good start so far, I gotta say. But Axe Smash Demolition, my God, when you go back and you look at 1987 to 1991, that what was 87? Yeah, that 88, 990, 4 year period almost. That was Demolition's. I mean, they were arguably the most talented, right? And definitely also when you look at that particular period in WWE, WWF, um, as far as the tag division goes in WWE way back then, I mean, it was a who's who. It was a who's who of what they had going on there. And when Demolition debuted, um, it was so sad because I remember when I first saw Demolition, I said, yo, who are these guys? These guys look kind of cool. And everybody else was looking at Demolition going, wannabe Road Warrior knockoffs, right? And I love me some Road Warriors, but I looked at Axe Smash of Demolition and I was like, nah, these guys, they're on a different kind of level. They got something else going on here, right? That's kind of badass about them. And I remember when they won the tag titles in 1988. At that point, they went on to have the longest reign ever. And it was a record that stood for like well over 2 decades, believe it or not. And some of their matches that I remember, I definitely remember WrestleMania 4 against Strike Force. I can also recall, I think it was the 1989 Royal Rumble where Axe and Smash, they went out as the first two participants in the Rumble. And like, you're wondering, how are these guys like gonna coexist here? Because they're like, and they just went into that thing and they just beat the holy shit out of one another. And then at number three, it was Andre the Giant. And when Andre the Giant came out there, Axe and Smash were like, okay, look, no matter what, we got to do this later. Like, we gotta join forces right now, and we gotta stick it to Andre. Yeah, that was, but that was really cool because they like both came out at like number one, and number two and everything. I also remember because back then I definitely had my fair share of WWF matches on VHS tapes, and I would sometimes trade with friends and everything. Ultimate Warrior and the Legion of Doom taking on the taking on Demolition. Happened at Madison Square Garden. I think it was around either 89 or 90 is when that came about. Of course, when Demolition took on the Hart Foundation, that's like one of my all-time, like in my top two Demolition moments. Brain Busters were pretty good as well. Just trying to think like anything else. Oh yeah, the Rockers. I can't believe I almost forgot about that. When Demolition took on the Rockers on Saturday night's main event, look that one up. But the two times that I remember that they faced the Hart Foundation, those are like my number one, number two, definitely the Rockers. Some damn good memories with Axe and Smash of Demolition. This has been a long time coming. They should have been in the Hall of Fame. They should have been in it a long, long time ago. It's so sad that, it essentially took this long. I can't wait to see what's going to happen per se with Demolition's Axe and Smash when they go into the Hall of Fame. Like, obviously, the two original members of Demolition, like these are the guys that's being recognized. But let's not sleep on the fact that at one point, Crush, definitely I had my concerns when I saw Crush, and I'm like, but Crush won me over very quickly when he was added to Demolition, and I was like, okay, yeah, this fucking works. I can't wait to see when Axe and Smash get up there on the podium, if they're going to, while they're being inducted, if they say, hey, this is also for Crush, and I'm very curious. I can't wait to see how that's going to pan itself out and everything. And not for nothing, the guys still look good. Father Time has caught up with them a tiny little bit and everything, but they still look pretty recognizable and all that for what it's worth. I know Demolition, as far as like the last time they wrestled, I think we talked about it here on the show. Maybe one of the last times they wrestled, it was back in 2017, believe it or not. They retired from in-ring competition later that year, but 2017, that was the very last time. Now, some of you guys may be like, Lee, why didn't Demolition go into the WWE Hall of Fame like much sooner? What the hell was going on? Simple answer to that, as far as why they probably didn't go in much sooner. It did not help, and this was definitely something that we had talked about on the show. It did not help that Demolition were part of a class action lawsuit against the WWE going way back to like 2015, 2016. And we were on the air at the time talking about, all the people that was like participating in the lawsuit and everything. And basically, when Demolition got involved in this class action lawsuit against WWE by that damn lawyer, Kairos Constantine, whatever the fuck that dude's name is. Basically, it was a lawsuit where it was alleged that wrestlers had somehow incurred traumatic brain injuries during their tenure with the WWE and everything. Constantine Kairos. Yeah, Constantine Kairos. I had it flipped there. Sorry about that. But that ultimately was dismissed. It took a couple of years, but it was ultimately dismissed. But I can't help but wonder if when they joined around 2015, 2016 in that class action lawsuit, if that might have put any like kibosh or definitely a pause on. You would just like to use common sense and go, yeah, right. But I would just like to believe that if it wasn't for that, maybe they would have already been in
by now. At least maybe around that point, they would have done everything. So it's nice to see everything kind of come full circle when it's all said and done. And I think WWE had made the announcement during Raw tonight that Demolition is going to be made available for the first time in WWE 2K history. That they will be made available as downloadable characters for the first time. That you'll be able to play as them for the first time in the officially in the 2K era for 2K Sports. They're going to be part of a DLC package that's going to be dropping some point in April. Don't forget, WWE 2K26 is going to be dropping. Well, if you want to do the early bird, you'll be able to play it as early as Friday. Otherwise, you want to wait until the regular street release of next, what, Monday, Tuesday, then you'll be able to do that. But this Friday, you'll be able to play 2K26. Will I be picking up 2K26? I've got too much homework on my plate. I'm actually going to wait and see what all of you, definitely my friends and colleagues in the podcasting world, shout out to you guys, especially Stevie Richards. I know he's a big gamer. I definitely want to, hear. I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to say about 2K26. So I definitely want to peep all those people out, see what they have to say before I make my decision about whether or not I want to check out the game or not, or wait for some more patches to come out. I never did check out 25. I never did check out 25. I know that the new Resident Evil game came out last week, and that is getting some interesting mixed reviews. Resident Evil Requiem. I don't know if you guys are aware of some of the chatter that's being said about the latest installment by Capcom. So, on the one hand, like universally, the game is being praised for its cutscenes, like beautiful, beautiful cutscenes and everything. But once you get past the cutscenes and it's time for the actual gameplay, a lot of the consensus is the gameplay, doesn't quite, it's a disappointment as far as the gameplay, because you get those pretty cut scenes and then you get the gameplay. But then, like, some people can say, well, putting the cutscenes to the side, like, okay, yeah, sure, we can't always get, that's just the cutscenes, though. Like, how about the actual gameplay? The actual gameplay, it's getting mixed reviews from that as well. Um, some people have jumped out there and said, wait for some more patches to come out because it's a little bit clunky and everything. Other people are saying that it is a really good installment. Some are even going as far as to say it's one of the best installments yet. So it's definitely some interesting mixed reviews that's going on right now. So on the one hand, when you look at the sales for Requiem, it's only speculation, but it's being said that this has been the franchise's best performing game, um, doubling what happened a couple of years back with the Resident 4. I'm sorry, the Resident Evil 4 remake. So some interesting chatter that's out there about the game. So if you're looking at that, you're kind of considering that one. I would say for the time being, if you want my best advice, if you can wait, don't be so quick because $70, that's an investment. That is an investment. So if you can wait a little bit, wait for a Capcom sale, or because they always do it. They always do it. Wait for a sale, see if you can maybe get that game for like under $50 or even lower than that, right? Then go ahead. And I gotta let you guys in on a tip. Something that's been most helpful to me over the years. Sign up for Bing, right? Get yourself a Outlook account through Microsoft and all that. And once you do that, add Bing as your like default engine search joint. That way, when you're looking up things, news headlines, whatever, you'll automatically be able to rack up points. And I've been doing this for years. This isn't a scam, y'all. When you're able to rack up a certain amount of points, you're able to turn those points in and get yourself a gift card, right? And normally some of the games that I've been able to get through the years has been because of my Microsoft reward points, right? I think at one point at like the maximum that I had at one point, and it was like, oh wow, I can get me some really good shit. At one point I had like 99,542 something points. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give me this game, I'm gonna give me that game, I'm gonna give me this game, I'm gonna give me that game. So um you don't have to like go shit crazy over engine searches and all that. It's just as long as you got it automatically installed and you're typing up stuff, like the points just automatically add up. And what's really cool is you can set yourself up for goals if you're trying to get a Microsoft gift card to redeem and all that. So, like for instance, right now I'm like at about 7,000 Microsoft reward points. I got my goal being, hey, I want a $25 Microsoft gift card. So for me, automatically, I got like 17,000 points to go before I reach that mark. Now, will I automatically turn my points in so I can get that $25 gift card? Probably not. I'm probably going to continue to just let it grow. Because normally my particular pattern, what I'll usually do is I'll let my points add up for the whole year. And then when I go into the fourth quarter of that calendar year, so basically when I go right into right around December, that's when I pull the trigger. And I actually, no, actually before that, like right around November, actually, right around November and December is when I pull the trigger and I cash in my points, because usually by then there's like a whole bunch of sales going on, publisher sales, you name it, and I can get whatever game I was thinking about getting earlier in the year. Then I can go back and kind of check it out, do it that way. See, other than that, just trying to think if there's anything else I want to get into right before we get ready to wrap it up, because we've been on almost an hour and 30 minutes right now. I don't think, let me just go back, make sure. It's been kind of relatively quiet wrestling news wise. I really didn't see anything else going on that I kind of wanted to get into. I know my man Kevin Nash is catching a lot of heat for those comments in regards to Javon Evans. My message to Kevin Nash: just let it be, let it be, let it be. Just quietly move along, right? Because it seems like every time he revisits this, it gets worse and worse for him. So he should probably just uh, let that be. But it's been relatively quiet. I see random little news that's going on. It's not enough to jump into here on tonight's show. I know the main big thing is the whole Paramount planning to merge Paramount Plus with AEW streaming partner HBO Max, and just everything that's going on with Paramount now being the go-to. It was looking like Netflix, but now it's going to be Paramount. But now that stuff, we can kind of hold off on that, and maybe we can kind of get into all of those things a little bit more on that potential Friday SmackDown post show. I can tell you this: if we do end up doing that post show, we'll definitely talk some TNA. We'll even talk some AEW. We'll go all over the place on that show. At the core, will definitely be SmackDown, though. Hey, before we get ready to dip, I definitely want to take this time out and recognize some of our show sponsors, because without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. So definitely want to give them a shout out. Shout out to my good friend Katrina Spiritual Counseling.com. Backed by over 20 years of experience, her sessions provide straightforward, no sugar coating insight into the past, present, and future. Check her out, katrinaspiritualcounseling.com. You can also give her a buzz at 877-275-7562. And, we were talking about the situation with Bruce Campbell earlier. I want to take this time to remind you all, whether it's you or maybe someone that has. Now, I'm not saying this is what's going on with Bruce Campbell, but, cancer is cancer. I really hope he's able to fight that and everything. But I'm just reminded about prostate cancer because that seems to be the number one. Seriously. But if you or someone has been recently diagnosed with prostate cancer, before making treatment decisions, get some clarity from someone who's been there. Questions for cancer doctors. That's Q, the number 4, CD.com. Dr. Williams, a retired lieutenant colonel and radiation oncologist, helps men and veterans understand their options and ask the right questions before moving forward. They've got a PDF pamphlet of information that you could download, check out, and everything. And ultimately, if you want, you can schedule a private one-on-one consultation. Q4CD.com. Again, that's Q4CD.com, because the right decisions leads to a better life. So check that out. Please, I implore you, definitely check that out. Shout out to everybody that supports the show. As always, appreciate you all. So yeah, me and Tams, we did an episode of Wrestling with the Topics over the weekend. That's now, have I made that available wherever you get your podcast? I have not made that available yet, wherever you get your podcasts. But it is available for on demand. I'll probably have some free time, if not Tuesday, Wednesday, to make that audio version be available for demand and downloads. But go enjoy the YouTube version for now. So you got that. You got the Chamber post show, and then you got this. I'm also going to be uploading some more foodie reviews on the YouTube channel. So make sure you go, if you haven't done so already, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Show it some love. Appreciate it, as always. And yeah, so we got that Friday show that's going to be happening. I think tentatively right now, you can go ahead and mark that down. We'll definitely, I think we'll tentatively go ahead and do the Friday post show. So go ahead and mark that down. We'll come on live after SmackDown goes off the air. Meantime, I want you to be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed for on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, I see that we had made the list. I had some company reach out to me, and basically they were like, hey, you're now part of a Black podcast directory. And I don't know if somebody had recommended our show to this directory or what. But it's news to me. I started to do a little bit of research on these people, and yeah, the one thing that's kind of throwing me off though is they say, P.S. make a $10 plus donation at the end of the form, and I'll email your podcast description score plus a grade A rewrite to help you attract more listeners. And it's like, well, I can just do that myself with AI. So like, I got to look more into that, because like I have never heard this person before, and their company, and like the little bit of stuff that I did try to research to find out what's going on with them. Like, it's articles that essentially this guy created. So I don't know what's going on with that one. I'm always appreciative when I open up my emails and I see like, hey, was checking out the show and stuff like that. And this one just kind of, what's going on here? Like I don't really, kind of one of those type of deals. All right, so you guys got about a nice, good, strong 90 minutes of a show. It was nice that we were able to kind of go a little bit all over the place. So that's very good. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round.